Hello, Ilona. Thank you for joining. As we know, you are a content strategy manager at UNICEF in New York, which is quite an impressive job. And we are curious to find out more about your personality, education, background, and your job, of course. I'd like to ask you the first question. Which is about international education and international universities in general. So the number of students enrolling in this kind of universities grows every year. And I would like to ask for your opinion, why is an international education so important these days? And what are some of the skills that one can learn in this kind of educational system?
Thank you and nice to meet you. I mean, the obvious answer is that international experience brings us closer to other cultures, ideas, values, and also allows us to grow and expand our horizons and also understand the world better. The experience because before I joined AUBG, I have only been abroad once. And obviously, these were very different times back then for my generation. So having the opportunity to meet all these people coming from different backgrounds really paved the way to how I saw my future unfold. And being part of a diverse international community, including the faculty, was very fundamental to who I am as a person right now.
Thank you. And my next question would be about your AUBG experience. What were those academic courses and extracurricular activities that helped you decide on your future career and later help you to get prominent jobs, such as UNICEF at New York?
I studied business administration and journalism and mass communications when I was in AUBG. And aside from the courses, namely those in the journalism track, and specifically those with Laura Kelly, who was a true inspiration and role model, the central activity I think that transformed me the most was Radio Aura. I remember how before I even got accepted at AUBG, me and a couple of friends, we did a campus tour. And one of the first places that we visited was Radio Aura. And I think this was really the biggest selling point for me now when I look back at it. And I remember how giddy and incredulous we were at seeing the radio team and also hearing their pitch and how they worked and just how excited they were to be part of this amazing initiative. And I also grew up, I'm a generation of the 80s, and I grew up with MTV in the 90s, and music was the thing that really provided constant stimulation, inspiration, but also motivation during those transition years. So yeah, when I look back, I think the courses in the journalism track that I took together with my experience in Radio Hour were the fondest memories and also the best experience that I can recall that kind of really motivated me going forward.
Thank you. I believe Radio Aura has been keeping inspiring many more AUBGers.
Yeah, I'm very glad to hear, and it's one thing that I always fondly look back at, like really, really, really fondly.
Great. And you know, you talked about how Radio Aura particularly help you realize some things related to your career and has inspired you. And AUBGers often describe their experience as life-changing. Has it changed you, and how?
Yeah, I mean, looking back at my time at AUBG, I often think how these were some of the best years, and all the memories that I had built back then really make me smile. Honestly, aside from the very solid academic background and also the critical thinking that the university provided, the truly life-changing experience came also with the people and the friendships that I formed there. So the powerful community and also the excellent professors were an integral part of shaping up my outlook on life, but also making me pursue what I ended up doing in my career and professionally. And also some of my best friends and fondest memories, like I mentioned earlier, were formed in the university, and I would really cherish and take this with me forever. And my experience at AUBG was, I think, like I said, truly transformative. And it really, I think, put the foundation and put me on the path of what came next in my life. And even now, when somebody mentions AUBG in conversation, or I'm talking with friends, there's this kind of sense of pride that I feel I was really lucky to have, being part of that experience.
Well, I have to agree with you. AUBG community is really powerful, and AUBG is really people, and I share your pride as well.
Yeah, totally.
So this is quite a challenge. I know you spend so much time in AUBG, but I still would like you to come up with 3 words that you think could summarize your experience there.
Okay,
take your time.
I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is like best experience ever, but if I have to really use 3 words to describe it, maybe I would say, and not necessarily in that order, but I would say fun, but not because of partying, which was also part of it, but also because we studied very hard, but it was fun doing it regardless, because the way everything was structured and the motivation behind it was something that made it really enjoyable. I would also say family, just because you always felt you're part of a family, and that feeling continues even beyond the 4 years of academia and AUBG, and it kind of, you take it with you forever, I feel. And maybe the last word will be future, because this was like my time and experience at AUBG was the base that laid in my ears after AUBG, that prepared me for the future that I wanted, and it gave me answers that I think I continue looking for opportunities and ideas afterward, but it really put that foundation on what future I wanted to have.
Quite impressive. Since you touched upon future, I think it's absolutely logical to continue our conversation more into that direction. So do you remember what was your first job after graduating AUBG, and how did you get to where you are right now?
Sure. So I came to New York right after AUBG to do a master's program. So I studied at the New School and I did a master's in media studies. But the first job that I landed right after AUBG was working for EMI record label and Blue Note, which is their jazz label. So you can see the thin thread with the radio hour experience right there. And then from there, I graduated my master's, and then I worked a little bit in a small startup working on building eco projects in the Caribbean. So I was doing just general communications work. And then from there, I started an internship with the UN, and then one thing led to another. So now looking back, I think I've had almost 10 years of experience at the UN. But I think the experience and the foundation that I got at AUBG really kind of paved the way of what I choose to do later in my life. So yeah, now I'm doing what I love, and thanks a lot to what I built in my experience at AUBG. And I take this with my new job. I mean, new, but relatively new with UNICEF.
Great. Good luck. You live in New York, and you mentioned several times. I'm pretty sure there are pros and cons there. You face some challenges. And could you share more about your experience with living abroad, and how do you respond to everyday challenges?
Sure. So I think AUBG was really the springboard that propelled me to come to the States, if I have to be honest. So I remember arriving in New York all by myself with barely any money, and feeling immensely happy just to walk around the streets and experience this great energy that the city has. And now I've been here, I think, for 15 years, and the challenges obviously have shifted. So surprisingly, I never felt far away from home, maybe because also there are a lot of fellow AUBGers that are close by, and we're really everywhere in the world, and that makes you feel like you're always close to everyone. But also the time that I spent at AUBG really put a solid background and prepared me well to face what comes next, which I think was very important. And now I'm a new mom and we live in COVID times, so no one knows what the future holds for any of us, but having that solid foundation of knowing who you are and what you aspire in life, and having also the strong ethos and sense of self can really help you face any challenges. And like I said, they change over time, but I think a lot of that imperative foundation was really laid throughout my experience in AUBG.
Thank you for sharing some information about your life in New York. And the next question would be, again, about the life after AUBG. So graduating seniors or recent graduates do not always know what's next in their life. I've been there, and I can say that this feeling sometimes causes this significant distress that you cannot avoid. So do you remember finding yourself in this position, and would you tell those who do not know how to continue their career path after AUBG?
Yeah, a hard yes. I think no one knows what to do with one's life right after college. It's like the most confusing year, I guess, time in somebody's life. And it's funny how often we rush to be done with school and university only to realize that life is very different on the other side. And I think for me, it took me years to learn what I like and what I don't like, and how to say no, and how to muster self-confidence, and also trust my gut feeling. And if you know what you want right away, I think I truly envy you. But if I can say one thing to those who feel overwhelmed and anxious for their life right after AUBG, is to talk to everyone, to the people that you know. It will give you power, but also it's really important to really get to know your peers and invest in friendships and be curious about what people have done in the past, because this is the best way to learn. And knowledge sharing and building a strong network are the best things you can do for yourself while in school and after. And what I found is that oftentimes ideas come from the people around us. So you have to be open, honest, and curious, and put yourself out there. So go on a path that your gut tells you that you want to explore, and also make sure you take your close friends with you. And it may take a couple of tries to figure out what you like. And I don't think everyone is lucky enough to find their true calling right away, but it's a good journey and it will get you to where you want to go, I think.
So is there something that you wish you knew when you were in your early 20s, let's say on the edge of graduation?
Like an advice to my old self. I think maybe the one thing that I wish I knew back in the day in my early 20s is how to value more my freedom and independence, and also to but this is something that I think it's relevant both for my personal but also professional life. And it's been one of the biggest lessons that I also try to carry with me in my 30s now.
And if you were given a chance to go back to AUBG for a day, actually, you can say today at this age, or even travel into your past, what would you do for a day at AUBG?
Okay, that sounds really nerdy, and I thought I'll never say it, but maybe I think I would like to audit some classes, just because once you start work, you kind of really, I mean, I personally really miss this like academic stimulation. I would love to reconnect with some of the professors that truly inspired me, like Laura Kelly being one of them, for example, and also reconnect with people. This will be something that I would love to do regardless of the format. But I think there is also an opportunity to learn maybe a lot of stuff from the people who are now embarking on this journey. So this will be something that I think will make me really excited if I have that chance to spend a day back at AUBG.
Well, I hope the COVID situation gets better soon, so that we really get a chance to go there and visit AUBG for a day. Yeah. We are kind of leaning to the end, and last but not least, I would like to ask for an advice. What are some of the career advice you would give to those who wish to follow your path? And what are those skills that one must have to work in public sector, let's say at an organization like UN and UNICEF in particular?
Sure. So I've been working for the UN now in different agencies for the past 10 years, and I really did not expect to land in that sector at all. But one thing led to another, and here we are. So I love my job, and I honestly don't know if there is another job that I would rather do at the moment. I think some of the essential skills that really help to have are to being curious and open, to value diversity, but also be very patient, because you need a lot of patience to work in bureaucracy, and the UN is the biggest one of them all. I didn't study political science, but somehow I ended up in the most political space, and it's been a fascinating ride, because it really doesn't matter what kind of background you decide to focus on academically. Having a passion for human rights, and being open to spending chunks of your time in different places and just exploring different cultures and challenges without having a clear trajectory of where your next step is going to be are, I think, essential for choosing the career of a civil servant. So I would say these are maybe the main ingredients.
Thank you so much for all those interesting answers to all my questions. Before we close it up, I would like to give you the floor for sharing anything you would like, address the AUBGers or future AUBGers, and just whatever you would like to share, please do so.
I would like to just share that I hope all alumni are open to, to potential students and current students to reach out and talk if they want advice or if they have any questions. And AUBG really is like a very special place, and I hope everybody appreciates having the opportunity to being part of it. And like I said, I have a lot of very good friends that are alumni of AUBG, and we're all very excited to support the new students and see if there is any need that they have that we can meet.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ilona, for your time. It was very impressive for me to listen to you. I studied political science and now I'd like to follow your path. So maybe I'll take some of your advices from this.
Questions. I'm very happy to, help and chat and, provide guidance. Also, I know that's like just on our bilateral now conversation, but just to